Friday edition of NBL now, thanks to Code Sports. Of course, it's your number one source for everything basketball in this NBL 26 season. Joel Peterson alongside the big man, Aron Baynes, who's jumped on the pod. Baynesy, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, mate. Been a while trying to line this one up, but good to finally be here on a day that works for us both.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it's the big men have been a big part of this season. We're going to chat about them as we go throughout. But of course, we had Ignite Cup on Wednesday. So Melbourne and New Zealand getting wins there. And then last night we had Tassie go into Adelaide, a battle of the Bryces. Another one that we know and love, so to speak, came out on top. Bryce Cotton, another masterclass from him. How do you stop him and those 36ers at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, that was a big ask for Tassie to try and do something against him. But, you know, what they looked like they were trying to do just gave Humphreys a clear lane down the paint, and he made the most of it, took advantage of all the attention Bryce was getting as well. So, you know, I was trying to pick Bryce up full court. They started getting a little bit into him there, and I don't know if it's the best plan of attack, pissing someone off like that, because he had that look about him a few times where he was just, you know, you do whatever you're going to do. I'm a still be me and come down and make you pay for it.
He sort of looked like he went into facilitator mode late. He was setting the table for everyone else. The battle between Magnay and Humphreys was fascinating too. They both had reasonable nights. How did you see that as a sort of a points battle? Where would you have assigned your votes, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, Isaac had a hell of a game last night. You know, Will did his thing, but at the end of the day, Isaac had some backup, and Will didn't really have too much coming off the bench for him in terms of size. So, yeah, that was a bit of a struggle. You could tell by the end of the game, Will wasn't able to have his legs underneath him, and, you know, he was a little bit slower in his reactions than he normally would be. So, yeah, I think Adelaide just have a great backup there, and yeah, allowed Isaac to get rest when he needed. And then when he came back on the court, he was able to keep doing his thing.
Sets up perfectly for Saturday night. So the Sydney Kings go into Adelaide, of course. Kendrick Davis coming back into his former home. What are you expecting when the Kings roll into the Adelaide Entertainment Centre?
It'll be entertaining, you know. It's going to be a lot of lip service until the ball's thrown up, right? So, yeah, it's going to be another fun one. You know, two of the best guys in the NBL that can put up shots in a hurry and, you know, make it count on the score sheet as well. So, it's going to be interesting for Sydney. You know, they've got a lot of ball dominant guys, and we haven't seen the best of Cooks yet. You know, he had a couple glimpses there. He's definitely who I'd say is the best offensive rebounder in the game in Australia. And, you know, he's one of the best in the world at getting offensive rebounds. And you saw he had a few possessions there the last game where he was able to make himself useful down on the offensive glass. And, you know, there was one possession in particular that stands out where he got 3 offensive rebounds, just out jumping guys quickly. So, yeah, it's one of those things that when he can do that, he adds a dimension that no one else can do in Australia at his level. And just trying to get his ball in the hands more often for him would be something that allows him to get going. But, you know, you've got Deli and Davis who also want the ball in their hands. So it's an interesting one for Gorge and Bogues to have to try and figure out how they're going to maximize everyone's potential. And, you know, maybe it comes down to everyone gets a quarter to see how they go, and then the hot hand gets it in the fourth. But I'm not sure what it is for them. So hopefully they figure out sooner rather than later. And yeah, it's going to be a fun one when they go into Adelaide as well. So looking forward to that matchup.
Yeah, it'll be intriguing. Xavier Cooks, of course, had that great finish to the Asia Cup. He was so dominant at the end of that tournament with the Boomers. And then, yeah, the Davis factor. I've got a feeling the lip service will continue. There's been a lot of lip service in the lead up. The lip service might continue on Saturday night. How should he be approaching that game from an emotional standpoint, Kendrick Davis? And that might be a different question to how do you think he will approach the game from a mental standpoint?
Look, he knows it's going to be loud. He knows it's going to be all the fans getting up and into him, but can he silence them? That's always the best outcome for returning to your old place, returning to a place that you know you disliked, is can you silence the fans and can you make them leave the game early? That's always a fun one if you can do that. And so, you know, that's probably the mindset he's got to go in with is make everyone silent, make everyone have to listen to those words he was saying. But, on the other side of the ball, you got Bryce, who's really been the heart of them, offensively and even defensively, he's been putting in effort. You saw him get a couple steals at the half court last game, and, he's able to do that. He is so quick when he moves his feet. And like I said, I think Teddy kind of baited him into playing a little bit more defense last night. So, it didn't really pay off for them, but we'll see what Sydney do and how they challenge him. Teddy started off looking pretty good. Scott got him involved in every single possession defensively to begin with. But even though he was, breathing hard, he was still able to push through that and do what he needed to do to get his team to win.
That's going to be a fun matchup on Saturday night. Let's go from big games to big men, because that's where your bread was buttered across the course of your career. So I'm interested in your thoughts. We've got some great centres across the course of the competition. JaVale McGee is, of course, one of them. There's been commentary about the way that he is getting treated at the moment. Justin Tatum's had his say. Mark Worthington on NBL Now earlier in the week said, there was a little bit of sour grapes about those comments. As a former big man, both internationally in the NBA and here in the NBL, how are you seeing this playing out? And do you think teams are unfairly targeting him?
Look, the NBL is the ball dominant league, right? So guys who have the ball in their hands are going to get the favorable whistle. That's always the way the NBL been. That was one of the things, knowing when I came back to it, that I wanted the ball in my hands more to create and facilitate. The systems I was in didn't really allow that, which, unfavorable whistle because I didn't have the ball dominant play. You saw when Bogues came back, he had the ball in his hand. He was facilitating. You saw when Cooks was MVP as another bigger guy, he had the ball in his hand. He was, it's a ball dominant. That's when the whistle favors you. For McGee, I don't see him bringing the ball up, but can he get the ball and be the guy facilitating at the top of the key? Definitely he can. You saw a few passes he was able to make from the top of the key to the cutters, and what he does in handoffs and just getting guys open space because of the threat. When he does roll, he collapses, so he knows people are going to have that. But when he's got the ball in his hands, the referees are probably going to be a bit more favorable to him and not allow guys to bump and push him as much as what's happening right now. So, it's a bit of a challenge for Tatum, but that would be my advice to him, is get the ball in his hands more, and the referees are going to have to look after him if that's the case, because off the ball, they might not see some things, but on the ball, everyone's looking at it, everyone sees what's happening, and you aren't able to get up and into people in the same type of fashion. So you even saw it with Bryce last night, right? Like, they can't do anything when he's got the ball, but off the ball, they're pushing, they're grabbing, they're holding. As soon as he gets on the ball, they have to play straight up defense.
Put your Brisbane Bullets jersey back on. Of course, the Hawks and the Bullets play on Saturday night. You're coming up against JaVale McGee. What are you going to try and get him off his game?
Oh, mate, he's been really good. He's been rolling. He's been doing a lot of different things. Like I said, he's facilitating. Trying to get him off his game. You want to make him play more defense. It's a hard thing finding someone who can go at him, but I think Tyrell's the perfect guy too. They played against each other a few times over in Puerto Rico over the break, and they understand each other's game. But I think it's a pretty equal match in terms of body size and strength. So it's going to be a fun one seeing them both battling down there. And if you can make JaVale play one-on-one defense, get him up in the air. He's a shot blocker. He still wants to block things. Get him up in the air, get him in a bit of foul trouble. It makes them have to change the way they play. They got Froling coming off the bench, and he can facilitate really well in the same, in a different way, but in the same aspect that, I don't know, I see a lot of good things from Harry coming off the bench and being able to go out there and add a bit of a different dimension from the three. But JaVale, just trying to get him off the court to open up the lane for your drivers and finishers, which, he's such a threat down there defensively. You want to make him accountable for his guy first and foremost, and make him worried that his guy is always going to be there on the offensive glass, and not let him be so free at roaming around and blocking shots.
Across the course of your career, did you have anyone that you felt you had a little bit of an edge over that you could get under the skin of pretty effectively?
Yeah, there were definitely guys. It's kind of the cliche guys. I think you see the ones who go off a fair bit. One, Dwight Howard was, especially earlier in his career, he was able to get riled up pretty easily. Same with DeMarcus Cousins. Both of those guys really, really exceptionally talented, but you could find ways to get them off their game. And once they stopped focusing on what they were doing on the court and they started having other battles within the game, they would often hurt their teams more than they would benefit them. So, yeah, both of those guys were always fun to play against for me because, they were meant to go out there and score. They were meant to have big games. So, anytime you can stop them from having as big of a game or as big of an impact, then you always look good yourself.
Always fun to watch those two for all kinds of reasons, as you outlined there. So the Hawks and Brisbane play on the weekend on Saturday, and they both got off to, I guess, sort of rocky starts in different ways. Brisbane have been cruelled by injuries, but the Hawks have been an interesting test case coming off the championship, of course, and just trying to work everything out with some injuries, some unavailability. Obviously, still trying to sort of find out where they go with that import point guard spot in the early part of the preseason as well. When a team has a winless start like the Hawks have, how does it impact their players and maybe even the way that they play?
Yeah, you definitely see right now when they're coming out, they're trying to, first two or three plays, they know exactly what they want to get to. Tatum's drilled those first few ones, and then after that, it's kind of starts getting a little bit more nervous. Guys aren't as free flowing. Guys are a bit more worried. They don't want to be the reason that they don't make shots and give the other team a bit of a gap and some breathing space. So, yeah, it's about kind of trying to find the right rhythm and just free guys up. At the same time as what New Zealand were able to just do. They came out and they hadn't been making shots, but when your back's up against the wall, there's nothing to lose as well. So they just came out and they got back to what they had done in the blitz, and they just started making those shots again. And when the ball starts dropping a few times, everyone loosens up, and the basket looks big. The game starts being more fun, and you can cheer on everyone. So yeah, you can see teams want to fracture pretty early when there's a lot of pressure, but at the same time, it's about trying to find ways through that. And Tatum's good at being able to do that for his guys. He showed it last year throughout all the challenges they had. They were still able to win the championship, and good test for them to see a completely different team in terms of how they're made up and what they're trying to do, and see how they can make that work. They have moments there where they look like they are the championship from last year, and they had moments there where they look about 10 steps away from it. So, yeah, just seeing glimpses, and hopefully they can put together 4 quarters just for their own confidence. But at the same time, for Brisbane, they've had injuries, yes, but last week, they had different guys step up. They had Dukas, who came in and played good minutes. They had Davis, who came in and was exceptional in his short minutes that he played. They had the other guys all come in and compete, and that's what it came down to. They're playing against one of the teams that everyone says, oh, they compete, and it comes to a close game. But I think they had more energy throughout the game, and that's something Tatum even spoke about, was his crew didn't have enough energy throughout the game. Brisbane, that's what they brought to the last one. Short-handed, that's what they need to do again. So, yeah, I think it's going to be who has all the energy coming into it and who can maintain that for the 4 quarters, because, yeah, the basketball gods look friendly on effort, I think. It's always one of those things where the team that plays harder usually favorable bounce, and a lot of things go their way.
Tane Murray, another one of those bullets that was really good last Saturday night, and yeah, they were much better. The end of the third quarter was great. They just couldn't hang on for a win against the Jack Jumpers. It's a 33-game season, so there is a bit of urgency that comes with every matchup. At what stage does it get to panic stations in terms of win-loss record, or is it more about the way things are trending from a game style perspective?
Yeah, I'd be more concerned about, where are our lapses right now? How close are we to winning 4 quarters? Are we losing it in a particular fashion each time, or are we losing it based on matchups or what's happening? Yeah, I think that's where I was fortunate to go into San Antonio because Pop would always prepare us to play against OKC or, whoever we were looking to play against in the finals. And regardless of how some teams we played against, some matchups weren't good, but we still played to beat the best team that we had to play at the end of the season. And so when you can focus on your style of play and make sure that that's growing, especially early in the season, there is only 33 games. So at what point, I'm not sure. But if you see continual growth, then come the end of the season, it's going to get rolling. That's what happened with the last Brisbane team. They didn't start off too hot, but they got on a roll to the end of the season, and that's when Brisbane won their last championship. Was they finished off hot, and that's what it's about. It's about how you're playing at the end of the season, but yeah, you can't let it get too far out from you either.
Yeah, so there's a lot of teams that are in that mixer at the moment, but Brisbane and Illawarra are two of them, of course, and then a few big Sunday games. So it is going to be an intriguing weekend of NBL hoops right across the journey. Aaron, thanks for spending some time with us today. I really appreciate your insight and enjoy your weekend of NBL hoops.
Cheers, mate. Looking forward to it. Going to be some fun ones, like you said, and yeah, see where all the teams lie at the end of this. But going to be interesting matchups, and definitely looking forward to the Kendrick returning to Adelaide, and yeah, seeing the big bodies bang up against each other, and Jabal and Tyrell. I think it's their fourth matchup against each other, so that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, two players that know each other very well indeed. Aron Baynes with us on NBL now. Of course, it's thanks to Code Sports. Insider analysis and expert analysis, of course, at Code Sports. Head to codesports.com.au or download the app for all you need news-wise in NBL 26. Moments that mattered back on Monday in your feed. More NBL to come after a massive weekend of hoops. Enjoy it.